Hey everyone, this video will be about the setup I use when creating the abstract flower videos. I promised to make this a while ago. I'll try to cover the gear I use and why I use it and show how I set the things up. Hopefully this can help any other creators out there wanting to record and publish videos on their own, making their own crafts. So the setup I use is mainly geared towards people who create traditional analog things or crafts on a flat tabletop. Before we get into it, I'll have to let you know that I'm not a professional cameraman or editor, so bear with me here. I got my setup to where it is today by trial and error more or less and watching tutorials online. It's pretty simple and fairly cheap, but let's just get into it here. Let's start by talking about the working surface. As some might notice here, my tabletop has had a slight color change since I posted the last videos. Since the beginning of me recording these videos, I have been battling with the glossy white that was on my tabletop before. So I chose to paint it in a matte black recently in order to have less reflections from lighting, and this also makes it more pleasing to look at in my opinion. In addition, it seems, I'm not sure, but it seems I get overall better video quality due to the light not reflecting as much back to the camera as before. In the past I used a lot of clear plastic to protect my table. I don't recommend doing this though, as you'll get a lot of reflections from the plastic. Instead, if you're wanting to protect the table or whatever you're working on, I'd recommend you use, you can get like cardboard on a big roll, use that instead. Or if you're fancy, just go out and buy a big silicone mat. When working with acrylic paint, you could just let that dry out and it peels right off. Moving on to lighting here. So sunlight is gonna be number one, but sunlight is very hard to control, and you might end up with some very harsh light conditions. So even if sunlight probably is best, I personally use two softbox lights. Got a set of 3 for around $100 from a Danish store. That included shipping as well. What you see here is one of the light bulbs that came with the soft boxes. Just a regular old fluorescent bulb, nothing special, but it gets the job done. The soft boxes that came with the set are these foldable umbrella style kind of hats, I kind of want to call them. But yeah, you see here it folds down pretty small, and you can store it away if you need to. From here I'll be taking the camera handheld and try to show you how I have it set up. I have a softbox on each side of my table, kind of pointing inwards and downwards, as you see here. As they're stood right now, it's not 100% like I have them usually. And then you'll see I have a window in front of my table here. And every time I start to record something, I make sure to close my blinds to avoid getting any sunlight glares in and stuff like that. I think it's best to be able to control the lighting yourself. So one thing, if there's one thing I'd like to change about my lighting setup, it would probably be spending a little more money on some more decent lights. some you can get some actually pretty good where you can both control the intensity and the color temperature. But other than that, I'd say this little set of $100 lighting is a fairly good starting point. I usually record my videos shooting top down, meaning the camera is pointing straight down towards whatever I'm working on. I like doing it this way because it gets the camera more or less out of the way from me, and it gives a nice overview of what's going on down there. When shooting top down, it's best to make sure your camera is level compared to your workplace. This is because sometimes if you're filming like I am here, you can see stuff can get to look a little distorted, and I don't like that. So I make sure that my camera is level when I use it. So for this next part, I'm going handheld with the camera. But yeah, this is the microphone stand I use. It might be a little difficult to see with my great lighting in here. But yeah, it's just a regular microphone boom arm, I think it's called. And then on there, because I use a GoPro, I have a handlebar mount for a bicycle mounted on here. And to make that handlebar fit, I created a little spacer, 3D printed it. Do yourself a favor there, instead of just buying stuff, take some measurements. You might be lucky and you don't have to go and 3D print stuff and spend extra time doing that. Let's jump back to watching from the table here. One thing to notice with using the microphone stand, you might, if you go and use a bigger camera, you might have to figure out something with a counterweight on the other end, just to make sure your stand won't tip over for you. So I mentioned that I use a GoPro Hero 9, which is also the most expensive piece of gear on this list. It cost around 300 USD, if I remember right. That was almost a year ago now. So far the GoPro is doing good for me. I'm usually shooting in 4K 30 FPS, which seems to do the job just fine. I can still improve stuff with my lighting and stuff like that. Maybe if I had some adjustable lights, who knows. I'm not gonna get into different camera settings here. That's gonna be a rabbit hole on its own, and will probably be able to take up a whole video. Alright, finally let's take a look at how everything is set up when I get ready to use it. Stepping a little away here. You can see I have one of the softbox lights on each side of my table. Right now they're not pointing exactly as they usually would, but that's for the purpose of this video. So usually they would be pointing a little bit more downwards to the table, and a little more inwards as well. But yeah, these lights are just on these simple little tripod stands that they came with. They're fairly effective. And then the camera is set up right here on the microphone stand, which as you can see, I had a few accidents with some paint, but that's what happens. That's okay. And the microphone stands usually stands right down the side here, and there's space enough for me to be able to sit on a chair and you know, get in under the table and be able to sit and work comfortably. That's pretty much it, guys. This video was created to show off what I currently have to work with and how I go about creating our abstract flower videos. Hopefully you get something positive out of this. Maybe some of you will even start showing off your own crafts through videos like this. Any suggestions or questions are always more than welcome. See you all around hopefully, and have a good one.